Hi, I'm Ty with Total Finishing. Today we have a brand new change agent. It's what we call sales reps here at Total Finishing. Meet Luis Gomez, class of March 2025. So we're going to make this video not only for our customers, but for future change agents at Total Finishing as educational videos so they can get up to speed fast when they come on board. So we're going to start with a lesson on sanding. So we're one of the largest Surfprep abrasive and Surfprep sanding tool distributors in the United States. I'm going to talk about how to use these tools, how to select abrasives, how to prepare surfaces and give them the right preparation for our customers. Right. So the most common sanding tool that we sell is the 3x4. Okay, so it's 3-inch wide, 4-inch long. Why would we use this over, say, a round orbital sander, which is available in a 3-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch pad version?
My natural inclination is to get it tight into the corners.
Correct. So if I'm sanding a cabinet door, a round sander in a square corner doesn't work too well. So we want to go to a rectangular sander so that I can fit into the corner. So that's tool selection. Another reason why would I want to use a round sander over a rectangle sander versus using this on everything? Any thoughts there?
Round. I'm thinking just surface area.
Can be.
But outside of that, I really don't know the nuances for it.
Good. No, it's good. So a round sander, this is spinning, is going to cut faster. So it's going to sand faster. So if I have to do a large surface area, a very large panel, or a fender in an automobile, a round sander is going to sand faster than something like this, which is doing either a 3/32 or a 3/16 tiny little orbit.
How it's moving.
Right. This is spinning 6 inches. This is spinning just 3/16 of an inch or 3/32 of an inch, depending on the tool that you choose. So
orbital, and this is 360.
Right. So if I want to sand faster, this
is the tool.
And these all come in both electric, which we're showing here, and in air. Everything is available. Same accessories, same paper, same vacuum attachments. Doesn't really matter if you choose air or electric, but you can get the tool in the same.
Just for clarification, air being pneumatic?
Air being pneumatic.
Air hose.
Compressed air. Now, why would I use an air tool versus an electric tool? Is there a reason for that?
I guess a shop setup. That's what I'm imagining.
Somewhat, yes. So an electric sander doesn't require any air compressor, so if I don't have a big air compressor, I don't need it. It actually is cheaper to run electric too. So just traditionally, shops are kind of trained to use pneumatic air. That's just been the tool of the past, so we make them, it works. But they do actually consume more power when you convert air to electricity and the cost of running it. An air sander probably is going to take between 10 and 12 CFM just to run. That is usually about 3.5 CFM per horsepower. So you're looking at 3 to 5 horsepower to run one sander, right? So that can get pretty expensive, and you multiply that out by a shop might have 10, 12 sanders. Well, that's a pretty big 20 horsepower rotary screw compressor to keep up with it, versus just plugging into 120 volt.
I was about to say,
nothing needed.
That's the way to go.
The electric tools have an on-off button. So you're going to just turn it on, press and hold. And then you have a simple up-down to change the speed. So sometimes on the pneumatic, they like the speed control because it's very responsive, but you do have that on the electric as well. Really. The electric is slightly heavier than the air. That can be another consideration because you've got the electric motor versus the air is just a bearing that air spins around like fan blades. In the air tool, everything is stainless steel. There's not big plastic parts. It's not a cheap tool. So they are very high quality. The other thing I like about all of the Surfprep design, it's very low profile. So when I put this on the part, my hand is close and down low, and it's very comfortable. I notice on some of the other brands, and I'll pick on Festool for instance, you sit way up here and you don't have good control. You also can't see past your own hand because of
center
the
gravity
tool.
is taller,
correct.
Profile, plus probably harder to maneuver, just as far as
you can buy the Surfprep tools without sanding or without vacuum attachment and add that post. There is a kit for every sander to convert it. It's a vacuum conversion kit. Or you can add it, right out of the box. You can order it as a vacuum compatible.
So there's no buyer remorse. You can always.
Correct. So they make, if you order the non-vacuum, you'll get a pad with no holes. There's little screws here, just on this side. I think they cost $5 for a package of them, and you can get a different backup pad with the holes.
I see. Okay. So you can always convert.
Always can convert. Okay. Several years ago, all of the Surfprep tools actually had 4 holes, and they recently, just in the last year, converted to a 6-hole design. It really doesn't matter. It is for improved suction on the vacuum.
I'm about to say, yeah.
But without the holes, if you have old abrasive or a pad that doesn't have it, it doesn't really make much difference. In fact, you're getting a little more surface area to sand with.
Right.
So 6 on one, half a dozen the other.
Right.
Sometimes some SKUs you'll see they're still 4-hole until they stop making.
They run out,
until
but
they run
theirs
out.
is going to 6-hole.
It is going to 6-hole. Yes, there's not a huge performance difference, but some people get very concerned about it. So something to know about. Nuance.
Just a share.
Okay, if you do have a vacuum, something to know is it's reverse thread. So all vacuum hoses are reverse thread. So if you get a customer that says, my vacuum hose doesn't fit, well, tell them to spin the other way. They all fit.
Okay. Counterclockwise.
From the Surfprep vacuum hose, there are conversions, so you can have it run to a Festool vacuum or just about any other brand of shop vac.
Okay.
What is nice about using a Surfprep vac is it will sense the tool and it plugs in to the vacuum, and as you turn the sander on and off, the vacuum will actuate on and off. They also have splitter kits, so you can run two sanders on one vacuum. So their vacuum is quite nice. The hose, the vacuum hose itself, is also grounded, so it dissipates static electricity. If you use normal household vacuum hose, because you're trying to be cheap, you're going to shock yourself. So if you ever have a customer say, your sander shocked me, no, you don't have a grounded hose. So that
takes
dissipating the hose, yes. So static electricity is something to consider. Absolutely. Okay, so there are the backup pads. So these will actually, typically wear, especially if you don't use interface pads.
Sure.
And so these come in a replacement. So it's like I said, the 4 screws. They come in a standard hook and loop and a J hook if you have someone who wants to have a little bit more grip on the part. There is a specific
J hooks are meteor.
Correct.
Okay,
then we have here the interface pads. They basically come in different thicknesses and in different denier or squishiness is what I would call it. Okay.
The density of the foam.
Correct. So where would I want to use a taller or thinner part for?
I guess it has to conform the contours. You need to press it in. It'll kind of like.
Yeah. That's a good, absolutely. Also, if I don't want to run my tool into like a shaker door, if I put a taller part on and then my abrasive, it's more forgiving, right? I'm not gonna hit a tall edge. So sometimes it's dependent upon what I'm sanding. The spongier that the interface pad is, the less it's going to want to transfer the power, which means less swirl marks. So the spongier something is, typically I can get less swirl.
Yeah, it's dissipating the energy.
Correct. But you're also cutting slower. So some of what we're going to get into is getting the mindset of sanding in control versus sanding out of control, which is what a lot of guys with a 5-inch DA sander that have been sanding for 20 years do. They run it all the way up, they sand out of control, and they put swirl marks in everything. They spoon off corners because they're all about speed. But you're causing damage and things that in the finishing world are very hard to overcome. So we're going to teach you how to do that.
The nuances.
Correct. So kind of the most common one is probably the 5mm interface pad. Okay. So the purpose of that is just to absorb a little bit of the energy, give me a little bit of distance from my backup pad. There's also something called a pad saver. I don't have one right in front of me, but they're like $2. It's a very thin, just a Velcro strip. I would always run a pad saver on anything. It just saves the backup pad.
From being it up.
Yeah, it's a must-have in your kit. Okay, so now let's talk about abrasives.
Okay.
So people get kind of a little overwhelmed when you talk abrasives, but they're really pretty simple. So in the Surfprep world, we have original paper and white lightning paper. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have an inkling of where we would use paper versus the rest of these abrasives that we're going to get to?
Paper, I just associate it with getting the grit, the diamond, or whatever onto the surface. But there's a lot of wear and tear, so I would think something finer with paper versus like a sponge.
Well, no. What I'm going to say is sandpaper is best on white wood. So something that doesn't already have a coating on it,
Okay.
or something that you're trying to sand off. So if I'm like refurbing cabinets, I'm probably not going to go to paper, but if I'm building brand new cabinets, especially if I'm going to stain them, original paper gives you a really good open grain
I see.
so that it'll accept the stain evenly. Okay.
Okay.
The white lightning is got a self-sharpening grit, so it tends to last a little longer than original paper. So if you're doing a lot of volume, white lightning is probably a good option versus the OG original paper. Okay. But good for, my favorite for white wood sanding, especially prior to stain. Okay, the next two are film. Any idea where we would use a film abrasive?
Maybe something that contours. I'm thinking because it has to stretch and flex and it has to hold
Nope.
up longer.
We're going to get to contours when we get into sponges.
Okay.
A film means it's like paper, but it's
Sure.
been coated with a film that resists loading. So if I'm sanding
okay.
primer, or I'm trying to, something that wants to load up the paper.
Gum up?
So the film repels the loading, works really
Okay.
good. I would say this is your primer sander, right? Or anything that you're, okay? This is a ceramic paper, so it's also coated with, to resist loading like this, but lasts longer, okay?
Okay.
So ceramic is a lot tougher than this, but you have to kind of balance between price versus performance, always.
Two primers, that one just pure durability.
Durability. But this is going to resist the loading of a primer the most. Okay. Then there is my favorite, screen abrasive. Where would I use a screen?
It's something that gets gummy, right? I mean, I'm thinking just to clear it, because
So a screen abrasive actually is kind of a hidden tool that most people don't know about. It's the least durable abrasive of all of these because it's literally made up of threads of screen, right? So it shreds and doesn't last very long. But what it does do is it cuts absolutely faster than anything because it allows the surface that you're cutting to pass through it, okay? So you often probably see these drywall, Bondo,
I've seen that.
things where you want to cut through a filler because it loads up a paper really, really fast. But what a lot of people don't know is this is the best possible tool for stripping. So if I want to strip a deck, or I've got an old cabinet and I don't want to sand forever on it, this works really, really well. Another little hidden fact about this one, if I put and screen abrasive comes in every grit. So they have 80 grit, 120, 320, 400, 600, all of that.
Okay.
If you put a very fine grit, I'm going to say like a 320 or a 400 on
pretty smooth.
a very tall or very spongy interface pad, actually I'm going to say this is the most spongy interface pad,
Okay.
and I want to strip something, so I'm going to put a 120 pad on a soft interface pad, and we're going to look at, does this strip faster? Yeah, I would say that's right down to bare wood pretty fast.
You can kind of see. Yeah, it's starting
And
to,
this
pick
is
up
going to
the
pass
steam.
it through. Yep. All right, so screens. If you haven't played with them, play with them.
Okay.
You know, they get a bad rep because they don't last as long as some of the longer, better papers.
Ultra aggressive.
But if you think about your labor, if I got to strip a door or something like that, and I can strip it, let's say in 1 minute, versus 5 minutes, who cares what the screen costs?
Yeah,
Or if I have to use 5 of them,
that makes sense.
labor is way more expensive than any abrasive. So something to think about.
Sure.
Okay, now we'll get into the foam abrasives. Okay, so these are all the Surfprep Pro foams. You can tell because they have the red on them. They discontinued what used to be called original foam. It has the yellow edge, so you really don't run into that much anymore, but something to be aware of that was out there. They upgraded to this because it just lasts longer. It's still got the same ceramic on top. It's a better ceramic abrasive than the original foam. Usually has all the
So
6
it's
hole.
ultra durable. Okay.
Yep. And foam abrasive is always available in 3 different heights. So you have 5 mil, 10 mil, and 1/2 inch. Okay? They're available in the same, grits, which is like coarse, medium, fine, super fine, medium plus, stuff like that. There's all the grits.
All the little variants.
Where would I use something like 5 mil versus say something like 1/2 inch?
We already discussed it earlier where you want to avoid certain things and make it a little bit taller. And of course, you transfer more energy when it's smaller.
Yes.
Or it's taller.
So the
it's
thinner,
less.
absolutely. So the thinner the pad, the faster it's going to cut.
Sure.
So if I'm doing something like this where it's just flat work, this makes a lot of sense to use a 5 mil pad.
Go to town.
If I'm getting into something like crown molding or something that has a lot of contour, the 1/2 inch,
in there,
right? And then this is somewhere in the middle. So it's
Happy medium.
absolutely. Now, the 1/2 inch, because I have this layer of foam that's much thicker than say the 5 mil, is going to cut a little bit slower. So do I want to use 1/2 inch if I got to sand a 4x8 sheet? No, probably not.
Get this thinner one.
But you use this when you have contours so that you're not rounding off or damaging the part. You're sanding in control and efficiently.
Mold gives the give it needs.
Correct. Couple of little pro tips. You can take a razor blade or an X-Acto knife and cut this into some tic-tac-toe strips if you want. So if you have really, really detailed parts,
a handrail or something like that.
you can give this a little bit of stress relief and it will even curve and contour further.
Okay.
So something
That's
to think
good to
about.
know, yeah.
So in the old days, we used to always say to take your 3x4 1/2 inch and offset it by half to get into something like a shaker door. So as you could get this edge at the same time or to get into something contoured.
Yeah, roll it up.
And in a pinch that works. But they listened to everybody who was doing that and they came out with the oversized pad. All right. So this, when you line it up, goes about a 1/2 inch all the way over, and I can and I can get into something that's contoured
Just
all at once. And I've got it now on all sides. So that is the purpose of the oversized pad. It only comes in the 1/2 inch thick because there's really no other reason that you'd want to be using an oversized pad unless you're trying to contour around a very detailed part. Okay?
Okay.
So those are your 4 thicknesses, well, 3 thicknesses, 1 oversized of the pads.
These are ceramic, so it's good.
The abrasive is ceramic on a foam. Okay, so that is kind of the world of abrasives. Now,
I learned a lot.
good. Let's talk about probably the best tool you can give a sander, and most people don't understand the need, or they consider them to be too expensive. I have a spotlight I can use from Home Depot.
Okay.
This is the Surfprep LED light. It comes in a 24 inch and a 40 inch version. This is the 24.
Okay.
Here's what it does, is it gives cross light across my workpiece versus before I had that on, I only had down light. I don't know if you can see, or if the camera can see too well, but you see I just put nail marks into that and I can clearly see the fingernail mark that I just made.
You can see them.
When I turn this light off, I can't see that
They
anymore.
disappear, yeah, okay.
Right? So cross lighting gives me that ability to see the peaks and valleys.
It creates the shadows
Correct.
with it that low.
So now I don't have to take this board and try to hold it up to this light and see if I've got everything that's not going to show up until I put a coating on it.
Glare on it. Okay.
Right. So
Oh.
I'm going to just go ahead and put a sponge on this,
Yeah.
and I'm going to sand out those marks. Yeah, gone. We're sanding on the total finishing 3x6 downdraft table. So this actually sucks all the dust down into it and puts it into a dust tray for removal. These come in different sizes. We have a 4x8 and a 4x10 table if you're doing like man doors or something as well. You got these nice non-slip, non-damaging pads, so you can put the workpiece on it.
Smaller shops don't have a whole system going.
Correct. It's got a tray here so I can put my tools or my abrasives down in it. It's got a 120 volt plug so I can put my tunes on, I can plug my light on, I can get to work. We also have on our lab model kind of a cool thing, and if you guys want, we have a PDF version of this.
Okay.
We have every abrasive and every tool that Surfprep makes with a QR code, so you can actually hang this in your shop, walk up, take a picture with your phone, or go to the website and reorder abrasives.
Whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, so that's something we came up with that works super nice. We display this at every trade show we go to as well. We're very big into, if you want to offer customers, hey, put up our QR codes for reorder.
I think that's the way to go, because no one wants to look at the past, history purchases or what goes with what.
And if it's right here and I know I'm running out of whatever grit, I walk over, I snap it with my phone, I email it to purchasing and say, hey, get me some more of this, or I just check out on my phone right now. So
yeah,
makes it
being productive.
super, super easy. So yeah, the light is just awesome.
Now I understand.
Yep, I like to put it, a little pro tip on the light, I like to elevate it about 3/4 of an inch to an inch above just the table. So we actually have that just on a board we painted. That gives me the ability to be just at the same height as my typical 3/4 inch board, right? If I'm lower than it, I'm losing that effectivity. There is a set of adjustable hinges here, so you can adjust whatever angle you want, and you can bolt it down to your table. You can also use these in like a sanding booth or a spray booth. I've had guys add them to the wall and adjust it so they can see and have a big light bar in there. Okay. So that's totally something to be aware of.
The ultra smooth finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it puts out way more light than any halogen you're going to get at a Home Depot or Lowe's. So, and you can see there's some videos on the webpage that show guys that have compared the two, and this wins hands down every time.
Consistent all the way across. Plus it fits.
And it's rated for the environment, the dust environment, and all of that as well. It's not correct.
2 and 4 foot. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any specific questions that come to mind about sanding now that you've had an overview of what this does?
So I'm probably going to run into some people. Do we offer non-perforated? Or that's just a standard where they're all perforated?
Everything's pro foam, not perforated, but pro foam.
Punched.
No, that nothing.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. So everything is available in what they call vacuum compatible. It means it has holes. Or non-vacuum would mean no holes. So every one of these abrasives is available, vacuum or non-vacuum.
Got it. Okay.
Yep, but it's the same type of.
Same.
Exactly.
Offerings.
I would say that vacuum is 8-to-1 more popular. Most people have shops that are using some kind of a vacuum collection to control the dust.
Yeah.
Even the DIYers probably order a vacuum compatible system much more often than non-vac. But we offer both, and there's a price difference slightly.
And you said the pneumatics and all that is available in versions.
Yeah, absolutely. All the pneumatic tools are also repairable because it is a stainless steel ball bearing that's inside, not a plastic one. They don't melt. Yeah. So they're I think it's about $75 to repair a pneumatic tool.
And you're saying it's cheaper than pneumatics?
The pneumatics are cheaper than an electric, yes, because it doesn't have the circuit board, it doesn't have the electric motor in there. It's just literally air that spins it.
Because of all that?
They're lighter because of that as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this, with the rounded type standard, do we offer the same?
Good question. Yes, every single abrasive that you saw here, because we were showing 3x4, is available in 3-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch round. Okay. And there is also such a thing as a 3x7. So if you have something that wants a little bit of a long block, mainly you see that more in an automotive type.
Yeah, where they're doing like doors and hoods.
That's probably that and the 3-inch are the least common sanders that we sell, but they're available.
Okay.
Pro tip on the 3-inch sander, guys who do tile and stonework, like countertops, they love the 3-inch because you can get in on a job site and kind of sand those tight edges or round over bull nose.
Okay,
they're trying to do the fine work.
Counters,
yeah.
tabletops. Okay.
So yeah, industries of all types use this. Wood is obviously the biggest industry, and that's where Surfprep kind of built its name. But there's uses for all of this in automotive, use of this in stone, absolutely.
Masonry, yeah.
Plastic, yeah. There's really no wrong way. Another thing I'll tell you, you never want to go into a customer and say, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." Because there's no wrong way to use sandpaper. If someone has something that they like and it's working for them, all I suggest is you test, see what is the best for yourself.
Sure.
But there's a rhyme or a reason for every one of these abrasives. So if someone likes a particular way that something's working, there's probably a good reason for it if they've tested it. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. But it's good to know and see the whole offering at once and the specificity of why you would have each of these out there.
Okay. So this is primary for stripping, I would imagine, right? Just because of the way it's
No,
designed.
whitewood sanding is probably more. I probably wouldn't be sealer sanding with that, but if I had a big panel, like an in panel of a cabinet, and I'm whitewood sanding, I'm probably going to use something like that. Unless I'm worried about swirl marks. If I'm worried about swirl marks, I'm probably going to get into something more like this. But sometimes you start with like 150 and then you're going to go up to 220 or 320. So you might start with your initial sanding with a tool like that.
Now this is an off-ball question. Maybe it's obvious, but not to me. Can this be a regular orbitable without it being 360, or is this only 360?
So go ahead and maybe turn that on and spin it.
Yeah.
It was on, I think.
Oh.
Yep. Press and hold.
Oh, got it.
No.
All right, just for you guys, when it's red, it's off.
Yeah, red is off.
Okay, it looks off, but there's no light on. So now.
Okay, so you see how that it's spinning, but it's also doing an oscillating action.
Okay.
So it does both.
Okay. Can you set it to do one or the other?
No, but you can turn it up or down as far as speed control using the plus or minus.
Okay. So this is always 360 and orbital.
Yep. On any of the electric tools, there is also, if I was in the middle of using this and someone unplugged it, it could fault the sander and it could need what's called a recalibration. And there's a video on our website that shows you how to do that. I think you just press and hold the power button until it beeps and turns green. Okay. But that's how the electric motor knows the alignment is correct. Most common cause is being unplugged in the middle of use. Then it doesn't stop.
People trip.
Correct. But if you ever get a call and someone says, my sander doesn't turn on or it won't hit the button and it doesn't work, do a recalibration. That normally will cause it.
That's good to know because they're like, you show me junk and what the hell, and like, oh, let's figure this out.
Yep. Recalibrate often takes care of everything.
All right.
All right. Thank you for your time. I hope everyone learned something, and we'll see you on the next edition of Change Agents.
For sure.
Total Finishing. Come see us at totalfinishingsupplies.com. Thank you.